It's live.
Live. All right. Welcome, everybody, to another installment of the Vendetta Sports Media Daily Show. I am Jackson Law, and joining me today, donned in his Eagles apparel, getting ready for the Super Bowl, not this week, but in another week's time, Chad Bauman. Chad, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. Yep, got the conference championship gear. Which by the way, NFLshop.com, like they are like the goofiest thing. Like, so I ordered my stuff immediately after the game, right? I
Mhm.
got the hat, the shirt, and I also got a hoodie, but the hoodie hasn't come yet. They were like, oh, 20 it's like $20 you can get, next business day shipping. I was like, okay, that's fine. $20, send it. They don't consider it 20. So when you pay for next day shipping, do you assume you're going to get it next business day, or do you assume it's the next business day after they actually send it?
I would assume just from the language that it is, I ordered it today, and then the next day it should be at my house.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was apparently wrong. So I ordered it and it was Sunday. I'm like, okay, Sunday's not a business day. Counts as Monday. I should have it Tuesday.
Yeah.
Monday I was checking is like doesn't hasn't shipped. So I was like, okay, maybe end of business day Tuesday, whatever. So I check on Tuesday like around like 1 o'clock and it's still like not shipping. Like that can't be right. I paid $20. I should get my $20 worth of this shipping. So I called and apparently not on like when you not and it's funny because it's not when you go to like when you select your shipping, it tells you it on the product page. When you
Hmm.
click add to cart, it's like, oh, this is a third party item. So it's one business day from when it ships, not when you order it. I was like, why wouldn't you put that on the shipping page, not the
Yeah. I don't know. And that's also weird because it's like it's licensed NFL like memorabilia. So it's like, how does NFL shop not have that like on hand? Like, how is it a third party
well,
unless it's,
I don't know. I guess because Nike's making it.
I guess? But you think they'd have like some sort of partnership where it's like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, like obviously like I wasn't trying to be like I wasn't being like an asshole, but I
Yeah.
called and I was like, hey, I ordered this. It said next business day. We're the next business day. Y'all haven't even mailed it out yet. So like the guy explained it to me, and I was like, he's like, yeah, if you go to the page, it's on the product page, not the shipping. And I was
Okay.
like, okay. And I was like, okay, never mind. Then thanks for clearing that up. And I wasn't even gonna ask, but he was like, oh, I refunded you the shipping.
Nice.
I was like, dude, you don't have to do that. Like, it's not on
Hey.
y'all. I just didn't read. Like, that's not
Yeah.
your fault. He's like, no, it's okay. We can. I guess the NFL can spare $20. So
Yeah, they got a few billion. The cap just jumped up to like, what was it, like 218, 220, or something ridiculous that the cap jumped up. It jumped up like an extra 16 million a year from what it was. It's something crazy. As a Dolphins fan, I'm excited about that because that
yeah,
stops them from
I
going
don't
over the
even
cap.
pay. I don't even really care when they increase the cap. I just know that the Cowboys are going to be terribly managed cap space wise. So
Oh, that's just the
that's all I care about.
Cowboys. That's
Yeah.
just the Cowboys. So, speaking of breaking news today, we probably should lead off a little bit with this after our conversation about shipping and everything like that. Speaking of shipping, Kyrie Irving potentially might be shipped to a different team once again. He has demanded a trade. Woj and Shams had their little tweet off today about Kyrie demanding a trade out of Brooklyn. Kind of surprising news to me. The Nets have been pretty good this year when their big three have been healthy, which I mean, specifically talking two of their big three and Kyrie and Katie, they've been a pretty good team. Katie's been out a little bit, but he's supposed to be returning fairly soon. Chad, what are your thoughts on Kyrie wanting out, wanting to go somewhere else? Where do you think he could end up?
I don't know, man. I think it's just funny though. Like, I thought it was funny. Like immediately as soon as the news came out, like the Sixers were like, "Yeah, we don't want him." like literally, like the oh Kyrie wants a trade tweet, and like I was like 15, 20 minutes later, yeah, Sixers said they're not interested. Like that made me laugh so hard. I was like it was just immediately like, yeah, we're not interested.
Yeah, which I mean, the Sixers are doing well right now. They've played really well. I think they've won like like 15 out of their last 20 games. So it's something crazy like that. I
Yeah,
could be wrong about that. I don't follow the 76ers like, like that close like I do my Grizzlies, but obviously it's the NBA. I keep up with
yeah,
everything going on. But yeah, no, you don't. And that kind of gets me to what I was going to talk about with it, where it's like, what team wants to bring in a player that could potentially not only kind of screw up the internal, like the locker room, but also you can't take him for his word, because he said just recently that he wanted to sign an extension and re-sign with Brooklyn. He said the same thing when he was with Boston. He said the same thing when he was with Cleveland, that he was going to extend. He wasn't going to leave. But he talks out of one side of his mouth, and then he's talking outside of the other one, and he's like, hey, I want to trade now. I'm going to go somewhere else. His actions are different than his words. And so it's like, as a team, why would I give up a huge trade package of multiple picks and multiple young players or solid role players to potentially land Kyrie? And I mean, like, the talent is still there. He's still a very talented player, but then you're bringing in all this excess. It's like, if you don't win immediately with Kyrie, then you have the potential of your franchise kind of blowing up.
yeah. I mean, he's not super old. Like, I think he's around 30. I don't think he's over 30 yet. I could be
Yeah, I
wrong.
can look this up real quickly.
I want to say he's like 28, 29, but at the same time, like, I don't know
Yeah,
if I would want to
he's
give up
30.
draft capital. He's 30.
Yeah.
Okay, that was close. I don't think I would want to give up draft capital either for a guy like you said that's like, you just don't know what you're gonna get. And I think too, like, I don't want to say like he's a bad teammate, but I just think he's like for me, he feels like a guy that's just kind of weird and off-putting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because like, I don't like, everywhere he's kind of been, like, he's obviously, like, he's had the basketball success, but like those teams, it's like like he gets there, he's there for like a month, and it's like, oh, Kyrie's on his way out every single time.
Yeah. Or
Like, the only
or
place he's been there for like a long time, the only place he was there like for like a considerable amount of time was Cleveland, and they drafted him.
yeah. Yeah, and then of course LeBron comes back and they're competitive and going to the finals every year that LeBron comes back, and they even win the finals. But even in that, like, the height of that success, he still won it out.
Right. That's what. So like, I that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess, like, I mean, there's plenty of teams that can maybe get like a trade for him. Um, I mean, the Kings maybe.
I
Uh,
I have heard the Kings, or at least I've heard like Kings fans and some like Kings
yeah.
writers that I follow. I've really started trying to follow a lot of Kings writers because the Kings are
Um,
a
yeah.
fun
I don't know.
surprise this year.
Maybe, like, again, I don't know if they would want to, but like the Bucks, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I don't
they,
know if they would have anything. The
yeah,
what was really ironic, and I put this in the NBA chat today, was that it was a picture of from Twitter, and it was I think it's like Underdog Fantasy. They listed three key role players from the Mavericks. They're listed as out or questionable for tomorrow. They're the Mavericks game tomorrow. And then
yeah.
right below it was Woj saying that the Mavs are one of the top teams interested in Kyrie. So it could be one of those, oh, we're gonna sit these guys out because these are potential trade pieces for that would be part of this package. I thought that was really funny, because like as soon as the Kyrie news, Mark Cuban's busting down the door in there, and he's like, sit everybody that's not Luca. Sit
Oh
everyone.
wait, no, he's got a hangnail. Okay, he's
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Oh, he got a
Hey,
paper cut. He can't play. He
yeah.
can't play. He's got a paper cut.
Yeah.
We don't want to get
Just
blood on the
he
court.
just outright punches like Christian Wood or something. Oh, he's got a bruised cheekbone. Sit him out. Sit him out until next Thursday.
He slams somebody's hand in the car door, like, oh, he can't play. He's got a broken hand.
Yeah. And I've also heard Phoenix as another potential landing spot. That could be they're out for Chris Paul. That could make the money matchup
Yeah.
as well. And same thing with the Lakers as well. But the Lakers really don't have much of anything. So that one, I don't know. I don't know about the Lakers. And I know people saying, oh, he's already a Laker and stuff like that. He's not a
Yeah.
Laker, but they've
I
got
don't I
until
don't think so, because I think, like, I know like him and LeBron are always like, oh yeah, well, there's no beef, but like, Like, I don't know, man. I just can't see
Yeah.
LeBron being like, "Oh, he wanted out of Cleveland to get away from me, and now I'm gonna bring him into like this Lakers
Yeah,
ship
and
that's already kind
yeah,
of
and
like borderline sinking." Like, I don't see that.
yeah, and I think it was when it was like one of his like what 2 years in Boston, like the two of them made up, or it was like maybe a year or so ago, the two of them supposedly made
Yeah,
up.
it was when he was in Boston.
Yeah,
Cause
and
like
it,
I think because there was like some point like he tweeted out like, oh, like this leadership stuff is kind of hard. Like that's not what he said exactly, but
yeah,
like that was kind of like
yeah,
the gist of the tweet.
yeah.
And then it was like, oh, him and LeBron are getting like making up. So like I like I said, I maybe like maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but like like I feel like LeBron's kind of like a spiteful kind of guy. Like he's just like in the back of his
Oh,
head,
100%,
nah, fuck you,
100%.
you're not coming here.
No, but I will say this: if LeBron thinks that first of all, the Nets would even have to agree to such a trade. Like LeBron has influence over the league so much so that the referees union has to put out an apology to LeBron on Twitter for missing a call at the end of a game when that literally happens to every team like all season long. Uh, but he doesn't have like the power to force a trade like that. Like he's calling up Brooklyn and it's like you're gonna accept this trade and this is going to happen, and then hangs up
Yeah,
and the trade happens.
you're gonna
But
take Russell Westbrook and you're gonna like
yeah,
it.
yeah. But I will say that if LeBron thinks that bringing Kyrie in means that the Lakers could make a run, and if he thinks that that's the best chance for them to win a championship, I could see LeBron doing that because as much as he denies it, I think he's still chasing LeBron, or LeBron is still chasing MJ.
Yeah.
And like even with the whole like he's gonna break Kareem's record probably this coming week. He's like 60 something points away. He's averaging close to 30 points a game right now. So it's probably gonna be two, no more than 3 games until he breaks it, unless he like pops off for like 50 the next game, which would actually kind of be incredible. That would be kind of cool to see like Braun pop off for 50 and 60 points and break the record
Yeah.
in one game like that. But
Can we just do a quick side tangent? Did you see how much those tickets are going for?
yes, like the Pacers game is like $1,000.
Dude,
It's like
it's
the cheapest.
I thought I saw one that was even more. I thought I saw some of them were like the highest price ticket was like $9,000.
Yeah, that might be I'm thinking. I think it was the lowest price ticket for the Pacers game. It was like it was a decent seat, but it's like first off, it's the Indiana Pacers. They've been a surprise team, but they're a small market, kind of like Memphis, where I wouldn't like. I feel like the tickets, like the most expensive ticket for a decent seat wouldn't be more than like 25, $30 because that's how it is to go to a Memphis
Right.
game. Even with going to see like Ja every single night, it's like you're gonna pay $25 for like, I mean, you're up there, but NBA
But you're in the
stadiums,
building. Yeah, you're in the
you're in
building.
the building, and NBA, the way that NBA arenas are built, it's actually not like terrible. It's not like
Right.
paying for the $15 seat at an NFL game where you
Well, no,
can't
it's
even
I was gonna say it's not even like it is like what like back in like the '90s where you paid it and like you get stuck behind like a pole, like
yeah,
a support
yeah,
beam.
yeah.
like, like now, like they're pretty good. Like
Standing room only.
right, like I went to a Sixers game a couple years ago, and it's like yeah, it's like you're up there, but like the way they level it, it's like you're almost like still vertically, like you're like this almost, like
Yeah,
you're
and you
almost on
can,
the ceiling looking straight down.
yeah, and it's like where I normally sit. I can like still read the, even with my blind eyes, I can still like read the names on the back of the jerseys.
Yeah,
So it's like kudos to NBA arenas for doing that. Um, but so it's gonna be interesting to see. I did like before we started see a report where Kyrie did say that if he's not traded, he'd fulfill his contract. And speaking
yeah.
of contracts, he's also whatever team trades for him is going to have to give him about a 4-year, $200 million deal. That's the price that Kyrie is looking
Yeah, I mean,
for
even
a
with the
long term
Lakers
deal.
still too, like even I can't like I'm not like great with following who has what picks unless it's like the Sixers for the most part. But like I don't even see like who does because like they moved a lot when
Oh
they were trying to get like AD in there.
yeah,
Like I don't think they have like a ton of like
yeah,
picks
and
to move either.
because of the rules in place where the NBA has to protect teams against themselves from trading all of their first round picks and putting all their eggs in one basket type of deal. Because there are GMs that are stupid enough to do that. You know, you look and see, like, even with those protections in place, you see GMs being really stupid with their picks, i.e., like the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are in the exact same place they were last year after giving all that up for Rudy Gobert. But I want to say, if I remember correctly, the Lakers, they have like one unprotected first round pick, and they could do like a pick swap maybe on the picks that are available. So that's like 2 first round picks, and then you'd have to be Russell Westbrook and then someone else. And
Yeah.
I don't really know who that someone else would be, because like the big problem with the Lakers this year has been depth. They don't they don't have depth like they did 2-3 years ago when they won the title. There's there's nothing there that's just appetizing, and they don't have
Yeah.
the picks to like justify someone like the Nets being like, yeah, we'll take on Westbrook's terrible contract, but we're getting a couple really good first round picks in return. We're down the line, maybe they're worth something, and we can, try to rebuild ourselves. So I don't know. It's so weird, and I don't know what Kyrie's trade value is either, because of all of this, like the stipends that we just talked about. But
Yeah.
he's still a really good basketball
Right.
player. He's an amazing point guard. So it's like I don't know. This is one of the times where I'm thankful that I'm not a general manager of a team that would potentially have to make this type of trade, because there's so many pros and cons here that I don't know which side of the fence I would land on. And in my luck, it would be whatever decision I make is the wrong decision. Like, I could have traded for him and I don't, and then he goes somewhere else and they win a championship. Or I do trade for him, extend him, give him all this money, and then next season he wants out because he's
Yeah.
unhappy for whatever reason.
And I can say, like, as a Sixers fan, I'm kind of glad that they're not like, oh, we're gonna pursue this, just because, like you said, he's great, like he's a great basketball player, but like it just reminds me of like not the same situation as Ben Simmons, but I feel like if Kyrie did come to Philly, he would have a terrible fucking time.
Yeah.
Like there are certain guys that like they're kind of like built to play in Philly. And like Joel Embiid, perfect example. He's fucking built to play in Philly. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's guys that are like, I don't want to say like they're soft, but it's
Well,
like
Philly fans are different. Philly fans are different.
yeah. I feel like if Kyrie came to Philly, like he would be miserable. Like the first time he got booed by a fan, it would be okay. I think it's time to leave.
Which is kind of what happened with Boston.
Yeah.
But speaking of Philly, we won't spend too much time talking on it, but I wanted you to kind of say a little bit here, because I know you've got your podcast, The Lead Word, which if you're watching this, you can find on here on the Vendetta Sports Media YouTube channel.
Yeah. But not
But
today.
not today, yeah. But I know soon you and Trey are going to be doing your Super Bowl preview. So again, don't want to spend too much time on it, but of course we have to talk about the Super Bowl, just because it's the Super Bowl. It's the biggest sporting event, and it's in less than a week, or a little over a week now. This is Friday, so not this Sunday, but a coming Sunday.
Yeah.
And you being an
9 days,
Eagles
I think.
fan, you being an Eagles fan, obviously your team is in the Super Bowl. It's almost a completely different team from the 5-6 years ago that they won it again. I just wanted to know your quick thoughts and feelings about being back here, and my real question was, and I was thinking about this today, like, what were your expectations for the team coming into the season compared to like what it is now? Like, did you come into the season like thinking, yeah, this year is our year, we're going to make it to the Super Bowl and we're going to run through the NFC? Or was it something that it's like you kind of saw the signs as the season progressed, where you were like, okay, Jalen Hurts, a lot more progressed than what we thought. The offense, a lot more smoother than what we thought. The addition of AJ Brown was a lot better than what we thought. That defense is playing better than we thought. And then you started getting closer to the playoffs, and then it's like, we can actually do this.
It's definitely the second one.
Yeah.
So a couple things. First of all, as far as the Super Bowl is concerned, I'll let you know I'm feeling good. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, the next episode of The Lead Word, I'll go into more detail, but like I'm kind of at the point where like I'm looking at the rosters. I'm like, I really think the Eagles have like a good chance to like a solid touchdown 10-point lead. Like I'm feeling really good about it, actually. And just the more that I think about it, it's just like, and I don't want to feel like I'm not playing, so obviously it doesn't matter if I get overconfident, but like I want to temper my expectations as well because
Uh-huh.
like the worst part is like I don't want to like oh shit, we fucking lost, like that
Yeah.
kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, as far as the team is concerned, I like at the start of the season, I had no. I really wish that like I was higher on the team because there were
Mhm.
so many like, oh, you could put like $20 on the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, and you would win like $10,000 like on like one of those like betting sites. I
Mhm.
like if I was higher on the Eagles, I would have pulled the trigger and I would have made that bet. But I really thought coming in, I was like, you know what, AJ Brown's a great wide receiver. Like there was like all the Tennessee Titans fans and like those people were like, oh, well, all he's gonna do is block, for the Eagles because they were a heavy run team last
Mhm.
year. Like, oh, Jalen Hurts got a noodle arm. He's not going to be able to get him the ball. Like, all that kind of stuff. But for me, it was more like, I think this team has potential. I could definitely, like, I could definitely see them being in the playoffs, making a strong push maybe to like the conference championship, but not maybe not getting that far. Um, I kind of saw them as a possibly a better Giants team, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Obviously their roster is way better than the Giants is, but like just like my expectations were like the same way the Giants fans went into the divisional round, like, oh, I think we're so hot we can stomp Philly. Like
Mhm.
that's kind of what I was like, oh, we
Yeah.
could get into the wild card, we could win, and we could possibly win the divisional round, like that.
Mhm.
Just because like I wasn't really sure what I was gonna get from Jalen Hurts this year. Like I said it so many times. I was at like last year in the offseason, I was like, man, I don't like Jalen's done some things this year. Like last year, I would text Trey all the time, man. Sometimes Jalen looks really good, but then other times he's just like it's like pulling teeth. Like he's
Mhm.
not like he just doesn't like he flashes, but then like you'll see him get cold and it just doesn't look good. But like the one play, like the one throw he had last year, I forget what game it was, but like he threw the ball. It was like on the 10-yard line. He threw it like 90 yard, like it was a 90-yard completion to
Mhm.
Quez Watkins down the sideline. And I was like, man, that's a really good ball. But I just didn't know what I was gonna get. And I kept saying, man, I really hope Jalen's good. I want Jalen to take a step forward. And then like this would be the year where we're like, okay, we kind of put everything together. They install, like they figure out what their identity is, and then next year they're gonna take that leap to being a Super Bowl contender. Jalen, he went out in the offseason. I forget like he worked with some quarterback coach. I forget like who it was, but like he's one of the guy, like he's one of the main guy where they like
Yeah.
all the NFL teams send their quarterbacks
Mhm.
to. He worked with that guy in the offseason. He came back and he was lights out. And obviously, like I didn't see our defense being as good as it was. Like when they signed Hassan Reddick, I was like, okay, Reddick's a good ball player. Like he's gonna have sacks. There's no like I thought Josh Sweat was kind of like borderline. Like I knew he was better than Derek Barnett, but I was like, I don't know if he's gonna be good. And then they ended up having four guys with 10-digit sacks, almost five, with Fletcher Cox having eight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
that's
like I had no clue they were
insane.
going to be good. I
Yeah.
wish I could go back and say, yeah, I knew exactly what they were going to be, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I like I said, I thought they were going to be good, but I was like, I never saw
Yeah.
this coming.
Yeah. And listen, I know it was against like technically like two backup quarterbacks, but I was really impressed with the Eagles win over the 49ers in the NFC Championship game just because of what the offense was able to do to that defense, because that was one of the best defenses. The 49ers, it was one of the best defenses in the league. And like for instance, they decimated my Dolphins team. That was the hottest offense at that time. It's one of the hottest offenses in the league. And that defense was able to shut them down. And they've done that a lot this year. And so I was really impressed by that. And of course, Jalen Hurts just this year has really surprised me. That dude, you can tell, puts a lot of work into his craft. Like, he wasn't the most talented guy to come into the draft. In fact, Alabama kind of moved off of him pretty quickly because of they had Tua right behind him. So Tua kind of came the next golden boy. He goes, transfers to Oklahoma. I think it was as a grad transfer. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
But then gets drafted into the NFL. And yeah, kind of a shaky start to his career, but you got to give credit where credit is due. And he's played phenomenally this year. Sirianni has done a great job at putting weapons around him, doing what kind of is the norm right now in the NFL, which is when you find a young quarterback, you make the trade, you go find a disgruntled receiver somewhere, and then you add him to the team along with like a rookie receiver, second year receiver to grow around, and then boom, all of a sudden your offense is off and running. And he's limited his mistakes this year, which is big, honestly. Um, and so again, I hadn't watched like every Eagles game like you have probably, so I don't have as much expertise on the matter as you do, but just from the outside looking in, I'm very impressed just by the sole fact that how many teams have been rebuilding for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. If you're the Lions, they've been rebuilding since the 60s. But just in a short amount of time, you have a complete regime change within the coaching staff, and you bring in a lot of new players, and you have to reconstruct this roster from winning a Super Bowl, short amount of time. Now you're back into another opportunity to win a Super Bowl. And I think the Eagles do have a fair chance. I think it really depends on what the health is of Patrick Mahomes going into this game, because that he played fairly well on that ankle, but you could kind of tell it was bothering him
Yeah, he was
a
hobbled.
little
Yeah.
bit. But maybe this little extra time of rest, missing out on the Pro Bowl and everything, staying at home, working on it, getting healthy and ready for the Super Bowl, maybe that helps him. And if it means anything, Vegas thinks that the Eagles should be the favorite to win the Super Bowl. I think they're a 1.5 favorite going
Yeah.
into the game. So
It's changed though, actually. When
has it?
they first opened it, the Eagles were like a 1.5 underdogs. But I guess everybody took that line, so Vegas switched it now. But yeah, no, it's crazy because like honestly, first things first, like if you told me like, oh, like you'd have to sit through like 2, 3, 4 years of just terrible football, but every fifth year you're gonna at least be in the Super Bowl, I would take that in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
Like going back, like that Super Bowl, 52, yeah, it was 52. It was Doug at the end of the game, or no, it was at the parade. This is the new norm. And then it was like, okay, everything started going downhill, downhill,
Mhm.
downhill. And
Yeah.
then you have that last, was it the last year with Wentz? No, it was the year before Wentz sucked. It, he takes the top of fucking Clowney's helmet to the back of his skull.
Yeah.
And the next year it was like, okay, we're just fucking trash now.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sirianni comes in and he's got that goofy press conference when where like he what did he say? What was the word that he said?
Yeah.
I think he said like system or scheme. Like he said it like 400 times in a row. It was like, oh my god, we're gonna like it was like that it was like in the Water Boy where fucking where Rob Schneider's like, oh, we suck again. Like
yeah.
that's how I felt watching that press conference. And then here we are 2 years later, and he's got the team in the Super Bowl. I mean, even look, I got my Super Bowl 52 poster behind me. The only person that's on that poster that's still on the team is Brandon Graham.
Here it is. I found the quote. This is what this is from. I just typed it into Google real quickly. This is from USA Today, and they're discussing how Eagles fans on Twitter were roasting Sirianni after his opening press conference. This is what he said. Next thing that's very important to me is that we build a smart football team. That we have a smart football team here, and I know we have the people in place to do that. The first part of being smart is knowing what to do. We're going to know, we're going to have systems in place that are easier to learn. So he just basically said you need to have a smart football team, and the first step to being smart is being
No,
smart.
but it's like that quote goes on, like he literally says system like 20 times.
Yeah.
Like it's literally every other word he's saying system. I honestly, like, for the life of me can't figure out how we went from that to in the Super Bowl. And there was another one too, like I think it was like his first year he was coaching, and he was like, "Oh, you can't see it yet, but like we're like it's like this is like a garden, like we're building, like everything's going like under the surface." And he's talking about like flowers and shit, and it was like, man, that is so corny. And then now we're in like, I think after he had given like that press conference, like they went on like a crazy run. They were like 20-0 before they had lost after he gave that flower speech. And I told Germani last week, when we did the daily show on Wednesday, I was like, yeah, Nick's a cornball, but he's our cornball. Like we ride with Nick now because he's like you got guys and they talk and they talk and they talk, but they don't back it up. And yeah, he's corny, but like he's getting
He's
results.
super
So
corny.
like you can be corny as long as you get results. I don't give a damn.
Oh yeah, he is really corny. I love the after beating the Colts this year, just screaming at the fans. That was for Frank Reich.
Oh,
That's what he was screaming.
okay, I was gonna say, can we like go back because he like a lot of people were like, oh, he's screaming at Colts fans. He wasn't screaming at Colts fans. He was
Yeah,
like he was getting fired up with Eagles fans that were on the sideline. So like
yeah.
that's another thing. Like, and I'm glad that's like again, go back to those two press conferences. If you had told me, oh, Nick Sirianni is going to be the biggest villain in the league in 2 years, I would have been like, you're insane. But
This guy that's
apparently, like
talking about flowers.
nobody likes Nick, and that's again, it's about finding guys that like the city would get behind. And Nick is a guy that the city just gets behind
Yeah,
because like nobody likes him because
yeah,
of the goofy stuff that he does. Nobody likes him. Like it's funny because I was on Twitter the other day and they have there's these videos of like you see like everybody's like, oh, Nick's too cocky because like he's looking at the camera and he's shaking his head, when they're playing the Giants and all that. And he like they got him about the stuff with the Colts game, but it's like they said, oh, Brian Dabble does the same thing. Like he was like, screaming and all this
yeah,
stuff on the sideline and getting fired up. And it's like, oh, why is it okay for him, but it's not okay for Nick Sirianni? Like you don't like it because we're winning, and that's the real issue is we're
yeah,
winning.
yeah. Shoot, what was I gonna say? Yeah. I just hope because I do like Nick Sirianni. Also, I think he probably should win Coach of the Year this year. I
No,
think
he's not a finalist.
he's not a finalist.
No, he wasn't a finalist.
Wow, who are the finalists? I know Dayball
It was
probably was.
Dabble,
Yeah, Dabble.
Peterson, and Shanahan.
Wow. Okay.
And
Well,
Nick Sirianni has beaten all of those coaches this year, by the way.
that's
Two in the
crazy.
playoffs.
That's crazy. Like I understand Dable being there just because like no one expected that roster to make the playoffs and they did well. It like it, anyway, what I was gonna say was just that I hope the eventual departure of Sirianni is on a good note. And it's not one of those things where Philly kind of lives up to the motto, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
No, I mean I love Nick, but eventually the fans are going to turn on him. It's just going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Like
And I hate
the only way he doesn't is like he like because even think about it, like Andy Reid was it 4 consecutive or 3 consecutive?
I think it was
He went to
3 or 4.
4 NFC
Yeah.
championship games in a row, and then he went to a fifth one, and then he went like 4-12, I think, and then he's out.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna happen because like you just can't be good forever in the NFL. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna
No.
have down years. So I one day he's gonna be out, but it's gonna be a fun ride until then.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hate that because I honestly do feel like that let's say like Sirianni has Jalen Hurts, they go on like an immaculate like 10-year career or something like that. Maybe you guys win the Super Bowl, maybe you don't, maybe you get to come back and maybe you win that second time around or whatever. Um, I think it would just sometimes I understand like clean starts and everything, but I would hate it if it's like, it's time to move on from like Hurts or something like that. Sirianni's still sticking around because he keeps winning. You guys keep winning the division. You keep making deep playoff runs. You make the Super Bowl once or twice. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is clearly a rebuild year. You have a down year. You only win like 7 or 8 games or something like that. And then they're like, all right, get this guy out of here now. I would hate, I like, I understand it sometimes because sometimes you do need that fresh, clean slate. But I would at least hope that there is that appreciation from people that, hey, this guy did a lot of great things
Yeah, I mean,
for us.
I talked about Andy, but like so when you look at Andy Reid's career, right? It
Yeah.
was like Andy, what did he I think had like 12, 13 years with the Eagles. I think he
Yeah.
started in he started in like 98 and he was with the team until like 2011, 2012. So yeah, about like I don't want to people to know how bad I am at math, but like, I don't know, was it like 13, 14 years maybe
Yeah,
that he was with the Eagles? But it was like Andy had that stigma towards the end where like, oh, he's not gonna be able to win the
yeah,
big one. Because
yeah.
like
I
he
know.
had some bad years. He had some bad years. Like I said, like after the 04 season, 05 was a stinker. 06, they
Yeah,
were back on top. And then that, what was it, 2000, was it 09 season, I think, is when they lost in the championship game to the Cardinals. And then it was kind of like, oh, they're playoff good, but like they kept losing in like the divisional
mhm,
round. And then there was like that 4-12 year, and it was like, okay, he's not getting it done in the playoffs, and then that's when they brought in Chip Kelly. So I
yeah,
mean, if everything goes right, I could see Nick maybe having a similar career.
yeah,
I mean, again, as long as Howie Roseman keeps building good teams for him.
yeah, yeah. I don't disagree. So we'll move on a little bit now. We'll talk about my team. I guess shifting back over to the NBA, because this was another bit of news that happened today. Dylan Brooks, the notorious villain of the NBA, was suspended a game for a crotch slap, ball slap on Donovan Mitchell against the Grizzlies. Played the Cavs last night. The Grizzlies unfortunately lost that game. They've now dropped, I think, 6 of their last 7 or 7 of their last 8. It's something horrific like that. They're missing Steven Adams. They're missing a core piece of their group, and it's looking more and more apparent that the Grizzlies, I don't want to call them pretenders. I'm not gonna diss my own team like that, but it's like they're trying to develop and compete at the same time, and I don't necessarily know if you can do that. And they brought in some rookies to try to replace some vets. Shout out to Anthony Melton, who's killing it with the 76ers right now. But they're in a bit of a slide right now, and it's unfortunate. And with the trade deadline coming up, I am intrigued to see what happens. Their name has been tossed around with OG Anunoby a lot. Had this conversation. Trey was taught with Trey and Matt as well. I know Jared chimed in a little bit also, but of potentially what it feels like a king's ransom for OG Anunoby, a great defensive player, pretty good offensive player, but primarily defensive player. And then also there is an agenda to get KD to Memphis. That is something that's going around, especially with the Kyrie
And I
news.
mean, yeah, he requested a trade too. So
Yeah, and a lot of people think that KD wouldn't mind joining Memphis, even though it's like such a small market, because that every time the Nets play the Grizzlies, KD gets asked a question about Ja, and he goes on like these 3 to 5 minute lectures on how great he thinks Ja is, and how he thinks Ja is like the next face of the NBA. And I mean, borderline like deriding Ja in these press conferences. So it's like a lot of people think, hey, maybe there's something there. And you know what? As long as it's not Ja, Desmond Bain, or Jaren Jackson Jr. in the trade package, I'd be okay with it.
well, I mean, Ja would have to like there's no way they would ever trade him. Like
Absolutely
if
not.
there's one guy that's on the team that's like 100% untouchable, it's definitely going to be Jaws. Like he's not going anywhere
Yeah.
anytime soon. Like
Yeah.
you would literally have to be like, you're going to get, like, you'd have to trade like your first round pick for the next 10 years unprotected in order to get the Grizzlies to give you Ja. Like it's
Yeah.
not going to happen.
There's no way. And it would literally have to be, here is a first round pick that is guaranteed to get Victor Wembanyama, and then like like the number 1 pick for the next 5 years. Here you go.
Yeah.
And then MJ himself has cloned himself in a 20-year-old body, and here he is. Take him.
Yeah. I
That's the
think
only
you
way that
guys
would
are
work.
like, I mean, I think the Grizzlies, like, I know you guys are on a little bit of a losing streak. I think you guys are going to be all right. You're still like the second. What do you?
Yeah,
You're still the
they're
second seed, right?
yeah. It's like by 3.5 games, 4.5 games, I think. And I'm not sweating it, because I don't have any expectations for like a championship or anything. I just, once we get to the playoffs, I would like to see them Obviously, get out of the first round, get back into the second round. I would love a second round win and a Western Conference Finals berth. I think that would be like peak for us this season. And then whatever happens after that is just like
Yeah.
fantastic.
Well, you
But
guys weren't even really supposed to like be like in this
no,
position.
yeah, and that's the
Start
thing too.
season,
And,
so.
and it's like I've had these conversations with other Grizzlies fans, and I've had this conversation with myself when I get really down after like a bad loss. And it's like they're such a young team. They are so ahead of schedule. It's crazy. It's like they continue to make mistakes. The coaching staff continues to make tons of mistakes because this is Taylor Jenkins. This is like just his fourth year as a head coach, and it's his first stint as a head coach. So there's hard lessons that he's had to learn, and there's lessons that he's still yet to learn. And then, of course, you have Ja is super young, Jaren is super young, Desmond Bane is super young. This is one of the youngest teams in the NBA. They're constantly rolling out second year and rookie players that are having to play valuable minutes in key games. And it's like, despite all of this and all these mistakes, they are the number 2 team in the toughest conference in the NBA right now. And I have to keep reminding myself about that. And it's like, and then a lot of people like make excellent points. It's like, MJ didn't start winning championships till he was almost 30. Steph didn't start winning till he was 26, and he came into the league super young and things like that. Look how long it took LeBron to finally start winning championships too. It's like the opportunity to win championships are going to continue to come in the future. It's just, again, this team is so young, and they are much further ahead of schedule in the rebuild that anyone thought, even Grizzlies fans thought. And so we all have to like kind of pump the brakes and like call a timeout when people are like, oh, we need to make these trades. These, the stuff needs to happen. Taylor Jenkins needs to be fired and stuff, and this and that and this, that. And it's like, those are all like good lessons that need to be learned. And there's little things that happen in basketball games that they could do a better job at, but they're all barely old enough to drink. like I think Ja turned 21 last year, and like heading to the All-Star game was finally like legally drinking. I don't want to say that he was doing illegal drinking beforehand. I don't know what goes on in his house. but but like he was drinking like a ton of Casamigos like headed to the All-Star game last year, and it's because he was finally 21 years old. It's like there's plenty of time, and I know it's like gets impatient. Like, I'm selfish. I want my team to win championships, and I want it now. It's my money, and I want it now. But yeah, everyone just needs to calm down a little bit. I do think the Grizzlies are going to be fine. And even if they don't make a trade at the trade deadline, then it is what it is.
Yeah, and I think that's something that gets lost in like basketball sometimes too, is like, because you think about like any other sports, well, maybe except for baseball, where you can get like drafted like right out of high school. But you think like most other sports, like you get into the league and like you're usually like in your 20s, you went to college or whatever first, and then it's like, okay, like you 4 or 5 years, you're kind of like in your prime. Like with basketball, you play like a 10-year career. It's now I'm in my prime.
Look
Like,
at LeBron. Like he's still putting up 30 a game, and he's 40. He's playing against the sons of players that he played against. That's how long he's been in the
about
league.
to be drafted.
Yeah, he's
And
going
he
to be
even
playing in
said
the NBA when
like
his
he
son is
said it a
playing.
few weeks ago. He's like, yeah, I'm definitely holding out until I can play in an NBA game with not even against, with Bronny on my team.
You know that he's just going to stick in free agency until after the draft, and then whatever team drafts Bronny, he's calling him up, and he's like, "I'm signing a 1-year deal, whatever it takes. I'm coming." That's going to happen.
But yeah, like I said, like I think that does get lost as like, because they're like, you could literally, and not to mention like it's just like, oh, you've been in the, like, Ben Simmons is a guy, like when he got drafted, I'm like, okay, Ben Simmons. I feel like I've been watching, maybe this is just because Ben Simmons has been terrible for my health, but I feel like I've been watching Ben Simmons play basketball for 20 years. Like,
And he
but
missed a
he's
year. That's
only
the
like
crazy thing.
28. Huh?
He missed a year too, so it's like he's
Yeah.
actually been in he's been in the league a year longer than whenever you think.
Yeah. But how are you feeling like about your Grizzlies kind of having a they're kind of like, ever since last year, like when they played the Warriors in the playoffs, they're kind of like getting like I feel like they're getting a reputation of being like just like a hardcore, bad boys, Detroit
Yeah,
Pistons.
Yeah.
team.
So first off, I do like it. I like that the Grizzlies are the villains of the league. I do enjoy that, and I think it's good for the NBA when there's a team that the entire league can look at and they're just like, "F those guys." Like I think, and Memphis is turning into that, and I'm okay with Memphis being that. It's just although sometimes it is like kind of crazy because like you see other teams, they're doing like the exact same thing that Memphis is doing, and everyone's silent. Nobody's doing anything. Like for instance, I like Luca as a person, but I'm starting to dislike him as a basketball player because he is turning into one of the biggest crybabies in the league, and he talks an immense amount of trash for a team that also hasn't won anything, and he's been at this longer than what Ja and the Grizzlies have done. And so he continues to jaw, he continues to do things, and everyone applauds him for what he does. But when Ja does it, it's like super corny and stuff like that. Although I will say I'm not a fan of the gritty either. So like just like in general as a dance. So that is what it is. But you know that somebody in the NBA was probably going to end up doing it, and dancing in the locker room is no different. And everyone's forgotten about the Suns apparently too. The Suns are not great this year, and people aren't clowning them anymore, even though they were winners put in work. That was something that happened last year where they're like after like they won they beat like a really bad team. I can't remember what it was, but they beat them by like 20, and then we're doing a post game workout, like in the like not even in the locker room. It was just like it was the tunnel. They like brought workout equipment into the tunnel, and they were still in their jerseys. Like they just took their jerseys off, so they were either like in their undershirts or like had nothing on, but their game shorts were still on. They still had their sneakers on, and were like getting in the post game workout. That was super corny, but I do like it. To answer your question again, I like that fact, and I have accepted and embraced the role that they are going to be hated by many people. And I do believe that I mean, as a fan, I'm going to have to say this, but I believe that there's a championship in their future. And if that is the case, I think NBA Twitter will explode. I think if that ever happens, NBA Twitter will collapse because
Are we gonna see Jackson Law embrace the bad boy of Vendetta, the role in the Slack?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'll be talking a lot of trash and smack in the Slack. Uh, and I'll do something that gets me on TV at the parade also, and I'll be rocking some sort of Vendetta gear also. If it's getting carried away by cops, and you just see a big Vendetta Sports Media like on my
It's like
chest.
that Leonardo DiCaprio meme, like
Yeah, exactly. What else happened today? I know it technically happened yesterday, but your boy James Harden was left off the All-Star list. We could talk about that. If you got
I
any strong feelings
honestly
about that.
I just think it's like an anti-Sixers bias, because I've strongly felt that like fucking Joel Embiid should be the front runner to be the what's it called, the
MVP.
MVP.
Mm.
He's not a starter. James Harden doesn't even sniff the All-Star list.
Who,
Uh,
who was the starters from the East? Who was the big? Let me see.
yeah, they have like three different bigs, but like Joel Embiid can't be one of them. It's I think Giannis maybe. No, wait, is Giannis? No, he's not. No, is he? I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah. They're considering it's Giannis and KD are the bigs.
yeah, but no, there's a third one too. There's another center that's or center or power forward that's starting in the All-Star game.
Oh yeah. I think it's weird. I think they're just doing like front courts and back courts now. I don't necessarily
Yeah.
know if it's like pure centers because the two like front court players are Giannis and KD, and then you have small forward would be Tatum at the three, and then the two guards are Mitchell and Kyrie, starters in
I
the
thought there was
East.
a third guy, but oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, I mean, I don't like. I don't want to say I'm okay with them not getting the awards as long as we end up winning. Like I talked about this with Giarmani last week. Like Brandon Graham didn't didn't get comeback player of the year.
Mhm.
Fucking Geno Smith got
Yeah,
nominated
I
for it.
saw that. Yeah.
Like, he just came back from the bench. Like he did that's not it's not that big of a deal. Like Brandon Graham, I think it's just an anti-Philly bias. That's all I like. I think that's it.
It's Philly versus everybody.
Exactly.
Philly versus everybody. Yeah.
Like nobody ever wants to give us credit. Like Joel Embiid, like I said, I feel like he should have won an MVP, like at least once. I think he should be the front runner this year, considering the stretch of like 40-point games he put up while the Sixers were on their win streak. The fact that he fucking dog walked Jokic.
Mhm.
The fact that Jokic couldn't fucking what's his name? I want to say it's Pat, but it's not. He got shut out by who was it?
Who does he play for?
PJ Tucker.
PJ Tucker. Okay. Yeah.
He got shut out by PJ Tucker when the Sixers played in the fourth.
Yeah, that was actually like a really smart move. I've got a good friend that's a Nuggets fan, and I came over to his house to watch that game, and he was just like, that was actually like a really smart move by Doc Rivers to take Embiid off of PJ Tucker, because Embiid and Jokic were kind of trading shots like back and forth in that first half, and they were both playing like successful ball, and then takes Embiid off and puts Tucker on him and actually slows him down. It was actually like a good coaching. That was a good halftime adjustment.
Yeah, like I said, I just think it's an anti-Philly bias. Because who else missed out on awards last year? I think. I don't want to say his name, but he probably could have been a better. Did he get Defensive Player of the Year last year?
Marcus Smart won it last year.
Yeah, I think Simmons probably, even though we don't like to say his name anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think he would have had a case like his second and third year. Like I think he was in the conversations then. But
yeah,
and he didn't really play last year. So did he play at all last year? It feels
or
so
not
long
last
ago.
year. Yeah. The year before that. That's what it was. The year before that. I think did he play last year? I don't even remember.
No, I'm pretty sure
all of these Ben Simmons years just kind of like they melt together for me at this point. Like
yeah, I'm pretty sure he didn't. I'm 99% sure that Ben Simmons did not play.
At least he didn't. Because no, you're right, he didn't. Because he sat out when he was with the Sixers. Then he got traded, and then he sat out. Hurting. What?
Yeah, it was like his back or whatever was bothering him.
Yeah,
and then it's like he had like some weird, he said like mental block or whatever.
Yeah,
that was stopping him from coming back.
Because he's been terrible this year too. That's part of what I'm probably. Honestly, you know what? I don't give any Sixers players awards as long as like Ben Simmons continues to be terrible. And now like the New York Twitter, Nets Twitter is starting to finally turn on him and be like, holy shit, Philly was fucking right about this guy. Like, yeah. I think that's my favorite part of the whole thing is that now like they're finally starting to realize like, hey, it wasn't us. He's just an asshole.
I was super early to the party on the I don't think Ben Simmons is going to be any better than what he is train. Like his third year in the league, technically like his second year playing or like his third, like going into his fourth year, because he had a great technically rookie season, but didn't improve after that. And there were prominent people in the Grizzlies community that wanted to trade the second pick that landed Ja for Ben Simmons and let Ja go to Philly. I was 100% against that. And I will never forget, forgive and forget people that were saying that.
I will tell you right now, I was like the biggest Ben Simmons apologist.
Yeah.
Like he was the biggest fucking one.
He's on your team. So of course, I'm never going to fault someone for being an apologist for someone that's on their team.
I made all kinds of excuses for him. I gave up. Like even and I'll say this, even after the game with the Hawks where he got scared of fucking Trae Young, I even still defended him. What turned me on Simmons was when he turned on the fans. Like that's when I was like, bro, come on. We fucking basically threw you a fucking parade when you shot a 3-pointer. All we did was ask you to shoot the fucking ball, which is your literal job, dude. Shoot the ball. That's what you literally get paid to do, and you refuse to do it. And now you're like, oh, the fans are just mean to me. They're so mean. Like, fuck you, Ben. Like that's where like I was like, okay, I can't do it with this guy no more.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's kind of where I am with Dylan Brooks. To bring it all back to Dylan Brooks, is
Yeah.
I will sing his praises when he deserves it. I'll criticize him when he deserves it, but he's on my team, so it is what it is. Hopefully he turns into the best version of what he can be. Is there anything else? I know we're pushing an hour here now. Is there anything else news wise you wanted to
I think the only thing would
discuss?
be that I don't know if you saw this, but Jerry Jones said, I don't know if it was today, maybe it was yesterday. He said that the Cowboys don't want to do what the Eagles did and go all in to win the championship. He said that they're building for the long term. I don't know if you saw that. Did you see that at
I
all?
didn't see that, but come on,
That
Jerry.
cracks me up. So like, dude, you haven't been to an NFC championship game in like 26 years. You haven't made it past the divisional round. Like I think you won like 3 playoff games in 10 years. Like how slow are you trying to play this, my man? Like and not to mention, like you can't even say the Eagles are all in because yeah, we have a bunch of guys whose contracts are up at the end of this year, but we have all of our, I'm pretty sure we have all of our picks. We have at least 6 or 7. We may not all be our own natural picks, but we have like our full complement, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Plus we have the Saints, we have the number 10 pick in the draft.
Yeah, that's crazy. You're in the Super Bowl and you're going to be picking top 10.
We have 2 first-round picks. How do we put all the chips in the middle? Like you're such a like it just cracks me up that he said that. I'm like, dude, why are you hating from outside the club? You can't even get in.
And what's funny is that it's a division opponent, so technically they are like in your club. They're in the NFC East club. The problem is that they get kicked out of the club every single year, much earlier than all of their other constituents that are in the club.
I meant they're not in the championship club,
That
but
is
yeah, I
that's
guess we
true.
can look at it
So
that way
so
too.
no, the VIP section
Yeah.
is where the NFL champions get to go to. And he's like, "Hey, what about the 90s?" And it's like, "No."
Well, I think that so like personifies, like it's funny too because like it personifies their fan base. Like Cowboys fans live in the fucking past so much. It's like, oh, like
Kind of have
I
to.
can't tell you how many times like after the Cowboys lost, oh well, the Eagles still only have 1 ring. Like, yeah, dude, you were like 1 when the Cowboys last
You
won the
think
Super Bowl. Like,
you think that's bad? Dolphins fans are still in the 70s. We have to hang on to the
yeah,
72 undefeated
you
team.
guys aren't as obnoxious as Cowboys fans though.
That's because we're not in your division. You don't have as like equal
No,
amounts of
I don't
interaction.
think so.
Bro, being in Dolphins Twitter, this was like my first year like really heavily like invested in Dolphins Twitter. It was toxic, especially with the Tua conversations going on. This is the most toxic thing in the world.
Well, I mean, and so again, but even though too, like Cowboys fans, like you're gonna always hear like so this year specifically, oh, Dak is like 8-3 against the Eagles, and then Eagles fans would be like, yeah, but what's his playoff record? And then as soon it's like, oh well, wins aren't a quarterback stat. Well, then why are you talking about his record against the Eagles?
Oh man, the classic or wins a quarterback stat conversation. It depends on the conversation if quarterback stats wins and losses are an actual stat or
I don't
not.
think so. I mean, I don't think so. I don't say that ever, but it's just like I said, I'll only say it like if somebody else goes, "Oh, this is his win record." Then I'll be like, "Okay, well, yeah, what about Dak's playoff record?" Oh, it's because of the team. Well, it can't be a player stat against the Eagles,
Yeah.
but when he sucks in the playoffs, oh,
No.
it's the team that
Yeah,
sucks.
no. See, I agree that you can look at player performance because if the Cowboys, which they've done, they've put good receivers around Dak, and if he hasn't performed well in the playoffs, that's kind of on Dak.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've got nothing else to say. I felt like it was kind of a slow sports news day. It should pick up next week though, once we get more towards the NBA trade deadline, and then
Yeah.
we didn't talk about the Pro Bowl. I don't care about the Pro Bowl. I didn't watch any of the Pro Bowl
They're
games.
not even playing a game this year.
No,
It's
they're,
just
they're
well, they're playing flag football, which I guess technically is a game, but it's not like a real game.
yeah,
Even though technically they don't really even play a
and
real game
and
regardless.
and listen, I don't think it means much anymore to be a Pro Bowler in the NFL. You just have to look at the All Pro selections. That's the only thing that matters anymore in the NFL.
I don't know. I think making the Pro Bowl still means something.
So did Tyler Huntley deserve to make the Pro Bowl?
Okay, that's a fair point. Okay. That's fair.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I mean it. Like Mac Jones last year, Tyler Huntley this year. It's like
maybe it's just like every year there's just like one guy they feel bad for, and they're like, we'll just give it to him.
Yeah, this was really funny though. I did look this up earlier because for whatever reason I thought Tyler Huntley's name. I kept saying Brian Huntley, and I'm like, that's not right. What's his actual name? And so I went and looked it up. It's Tyler Huntley. What's really funny, I don't know why this made me laugh so much, but it did. But it lists out all of the like the Pro Bowl like quarterbacks. So it's listing like 6 Pro Bowl quarterbacks, but it's because like, you know, Josh Allen can't play because he's injured. He's listed as injured, so he's not going to be there. Patrick Mahomes obviously can't because he's got the Super Bowl. It lists Joe Burrow as a Pro Bowl quarterback, but in parentheses on why he can't go, it just says excused absence.
Basically, he just doesn't want to.
It just made me laugh. It's like, is this high school? Did he get a doctor's note and like turn it in? And it's like, yeah, I can't be there. I'm excused.
That's funny. I didn't see that at all.
So instead of like counting him absent, it's like excused absence. So it like doesn't count against him towards the end of the year or anything like that. I don't know why that made me laugh so much.
No, yeah, that's kind of funny. I agree. Yeah.
But anyway, I think that's going to do it for us here for the Vendetta Sports Media Daily Show. If you are watching us after the fact on YouTube, we greatly appreciate you watching and sticking with me and Chad as we just kind of BS our way through the past hour talking about everything that happened today / yesterday in the sports world. But again, guys, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can be notified whenever a new video drops. Again, I'm Jackson Law. This is Chad Bauman. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.